underutilized labor or underpaid labor. That's more accurate. But that's not the point. The point is we need to have conversations, and we cannot have those conversations while you're just an officer. And we need you to be in these conversations and provide critical feedback and opinions in these conversations. So, unless you want to do it, sir, specifically, on behalf of Turner, we all here are here to offer you a position as a senior officer within Shift 3, the LSPD, as it currently stands.
Wow, really? I wholeheartedly accept. I appreciate that you guys trust me and are willing to let me take on more responsibilities.
I'm going to be honest, and I know you have heard this before, and I know that a lot of people will hear the phrase, you've already been doing the job. You have honestly, out of everybody in Shift 3, have gone so above and beyond recently with helping out with stuff. You have practically rewritten the FTO program. Not from the ground up, but you know what I mean. You've gotten everybody organized. You've done so much to keep communication with even myself personally. This is beyond deserving. So congratulations. I look forward to having you as a senior in Shift 3, and I think we're going to be working very well together in terms of working out things regarding the senior level, I guess.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard you've been picking up the slack quite a bit with my absence, and I know a lot of people have been, but you specifically have as well, and glad to have you. Glad to see where we go from here. Got things for you here.
I appreciate the recognition and the acknowledgement. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I mean it. Thank you.
Now to fix the PD. It's on your shoulders.
Yeah, with that being said, both myself and Flav are taking 2-month LOAs, and Turner will not be around either. So, good luck. And we wish you the best.
Indeed. Let me know how it goes.
Well, hey, we're just one email away, though, okay?
Okay, but
one email away.
I'm gonna be honest. If the queen is the only one in the castle, she making all the damn decisions. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. Y'all gonna be slacking. I'm gonna take. Sorry. Just kidding. I'll email you all my questions and your opinions. Smile.
Yeah, of course, of course.
You just say smile.
Yeah, there's a pandemic going around in this
right?
police department of people saying, you know, back 10-8 or 10-41, 10-8. Like you don't say SMH my head. Like it just makes no sense. I've been trying to put a stop to it.
See, I think it's just like it's what the cool kids do on the internet. You see me on my PC all the time. Like I just like a trend, and then it like gets habitual. I apologize. I will stop doing it.
Let's not blow out our backs anymore either, huh? He's in tip-top shape.
Yes, sir.
Good. Let me get you sorted in the MDT.
Okay. So obviously, taking on more responsibilities. Is there anything specific that I may not know about that I need to do going forward?
Well, you're now going to have access to senior reports.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not senior reports, command reports. Currently, they're set to senior. Eventually, they're going to go up to sergeant. It's a way to communicate both amongst other seniors, captains on your shift, as well as others.
Okay.
So make sure you're going to be able to open up reports. There should be, under the advanced search, there should be an option now to, yeah, it should be an option under categories now for you. This is where we communicate with each other about situations we're having with officers. If you're going to reprimand somebody, you can bring it up. If you want to give your input on something or you have input, you should check those pretty much every day. See if there's anything being passed down.
Okay.
Right now, seniors are the sergeants, right? You all are running the streets. The chain of command is captain, seniors, officer, right? It's a very short chain of command right now, but you are now that link between an officer and a captain. If they have an issue, we're gonna tell them to take it to as a captain. We're gonna tell them to take it to seniors, and then seniors bring it to us if there's something they can't answer, right? Anything you hear on the street, any issues you have with the shift with other people, something that you can't handle, you obviously bring it to us as captains. So you are the leaders out here in the streets. Okay. I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time at the station. We expect you to run things out here. We expect you to control scenes, control situations, lead situations, make sure things are being done properly, and then any sort of corrective actions that need to be taken, any sort of reprimanding that needs to happen. That'll be for you to, at the very least, initiate.
Sure.
You could recommend DAPs for officers, for cadets, any situations like that. Make a report on it. It'll be read. All the captains should be checking command reports every day. Obviously, sometimes we get hemmed up, but make a report about it. Bring it up to a captain, however you want to go about it.
Okay, you missed a lot of what happened.
Either of you have anything you want to add to it?
Insane
in terms
assumption.
of what she is to expect as a senior, since you've been doing it for a while.
I don't think so. Nothing that I don't think you haven't already either handled or haven't seen. You're probably gonna get a lot of phone calls about questions, but I mean that's to come with the job.
Yeah.
And it's really not as big of a thing. I think everything Turner explained is pretty much to a T.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? Obviously, you have more in the future, but as of right now,
Not right now. I do really appreciate the opportunity and that you guys trust me to take on this responsibility. It really does mean a lot to me, and it's important to me to be a good representation of our department, and I really appreciate it.
no, we're happy to have you. All right, good to off this roof, shall we?
Sure thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is a nice view,
Do
though.
you have,
Look
do
at
you have
that.
any
The sunrise.
concerns that you want to bring up
Oh yeah,
before
actually.
we actually leave?
I was going to continue. Actually, we can continue the talk up here. I was going to say we'd continue over at the station, but let's continue here. Why not?
I am very forward with my concerns. When I have concerns, I definitely bring it up to them. So I'm pretty certain they probably have brought up a lot of the concerns that I personally have had.
And speak
but-
freely.
Which anonymous officer is she?
Oh.
Alice did not, if I recall. I don't remember actually. Alice, did I ever talk to you about concerns?
All right, that was an attempt at a joke. But,
Well, I
all right.
mean.
the
Fair.
truth of it is, I have quote unquote concerns. I think that I try to stay very positive for what we have going forward. So my biggest concerns currently are probably a lot to do with our cadets and the fact that a lot of originally the first academy we had, we hired 9,
They're
which
lost.
then turned to 8, and then turned to 2.5, or I guess 2 people count as. The thing is that the first set of cadets were, it was rough, right? We did not have a lot of activity after they were promoted to PPOs. They were there for a lot of the training, and they got the training. We allowed them to go out on the streets on their own, and then they were not there. And I think that was probably one of my biggest concerns, and that's not something necessarily we can fix per se, with the exception of a conversation with them and hey, what's going on? Like,
Yo, IP,
is
what's
there
going on?
something
Thank
we
you
can
so much for
do
the gifted sub. I
to
appreciate you.
try
Can we get some hearts in chat,
and,
please? Thank you. Thank you, putting us one step closer back to
bring
500.
you into work more
Thanks for the
often?
support.
Is it
Thank you for all the
something
new
this is
subs
just a
today, by the way. We've had a
normalcy
lot
and
that I
you're more of a
missed.
part-time employee, things like that,
Crazy
to
day,
kinda
busy day.
gauge,
I'm so
and then
sorry.
going
But if
forward
you guys
with
have subscribed, thank
our
you. I
future
appreciate it. Thank
cadets
you for the gifted sub.
finding out, like, those kind of information. Are you more of a part-time? Do you understand that you're being hired for shift 3? Let's not go to other shifts and then abandon our shift where we really need people. We're hiring you for this for a reason, and being very blunt and transparent, and then having a standard of not allowing cadets that we train in shift 3 to go to other shifts. Other than that, I think everything else is really, we're learning. There's a lot of things that we're having to kind of, just similar to the conversation in the hallway, right? Like, things come up and we have to discuss, and we're all learning as a department as a whole. And I think that we are doing really great at executing all those things. So I don't really have concerns with how we fundamentally work. But yeah, my biggest concern is definitely with the academies and our cadets we're bringing in, for sure. And even that isn't like oh my god, the world is burning down. It's going to be like the all here end. Even though I might get frustrated, I do think that over time we just have to be very persistent, and it will get better.
I agree.
Truthfully.
So to respond to some of that, and I think this is stuff that we've all already talked about today, actually, as well. But the next time we do a Zoom call, I would like all three of you to sit in on it, or to be present for it, or interviews. One or two interviews, be present for as well. At least when I do them, and it comes to Zoom call and interviews, they're all explaining that they are being hired for a specific shift, not for another shift. Are you able to be getting on at this time, on duty at this time? How long would you be clocking in? Everybody's told the 20-hour minimum a week, right? I am very consistent in telling people that. I have no issue removing people. If people do not meet those standards, right now we have a hard. It's hard to track if people are meeting the hours. Obviously,
right.
you all have been around, so it's probably a bit easier. But if people are not meeting their hours, if it's not something that can be fixed within a reasonable amount of time, reapply. Put the badge down, reapply later when you can make the commitment. We need people who are going to be committed. And this is all explained to people during that Zoom call, during interviews. I am very clear with it. So those who are not showing up know what they're in for. I mean, I'm pretty blunt with them and tell them that you're being hired for this shift, not for another shift. Now, there are examples like Frost that we that myself and Eric and Flop talked about here. Where some unforeseen or maybe foreseen but wasn't explained issues and vice happened to come up, and we've agreed to allow her to switch schedules for the time being. Stuff like that can be worked around, but unfortunately it wasn't explained to us early on, so it kind of came to us as a shock, right? Or kind of out of left field. But we do explain that to people, I mean, here's the whole thing: is removing people doesn't fix the fact that we're putting real time into these cadets to train them. The fact that you all are taking them out there, training them, and then 2 weeks later they get PPO because they kicked ass and they disappear. It does us no good getting rid of them, right? But it's also it doesn't help us. It doesn't fix a problem either. We can threaten to remove people. Ultimately, we got to figure out why people aren't coming around. We got to address that.
With that being said, I do feel much better about this current class, and I think I can. Alice, I had a brief conversation about this as well. Like, we did feel that this academy went very well.
I agree.
This
I feel like. Go ahead.
No, that was all.
I feel like we ended up doing a third day where we did. I say we, but I was late. But we talked about spikes. They let them practice doing pits. Like, I feel like the academy, how thorough it was for the second academy was significantly better than the first. It just seems like everything was just more thoroughly done, and the things that are really hard for new cadets to learn, we emphasized on those parts specifically in much more detail that I
Do I
feel
want to
like
order
they
breakfast?
show so much more
I don't know.
promise for the
What do I want
department
to
as a
do?
whole. I feel like they are just simply going to be trained better from the jump, which is
Watson, are you saying
fortunate for
my
them.
academy sucked? My academy was
No,
shit compared to
sir.
theirs?
No, sir.
Well, it
I
sounds like you
think
are. You should say it with your chest, because if that's the case, so be it. I think
no.
you guys should be doing the academies, actually.
Well, I by all means, I have no
McGriddle?
problem helping assist with academies, and I think that we did a really great job. All of us that put in the
How
effort,
about running the academy?
as a whole, or are you asking just me, sir?
As a whole, seniors running the academy.
I won't speak on behalf of Flop and Barrick, but I am all for that responsibility personally. It's something I have done in the past, and I think that it is one more responsibility that we would have. I think the main thing is having more FTOs in the future will allow for, while seniors run academy and the FTOs help participate in training during academy, it would be a more balance, if you will. But I will say again, sir, I'm not saying that your academy sucks. I think that we were allowed to adapt for a second academy based on things we all learned from the first academy and ways to
Oh, you got the
improve
oatmeal? True.
for the second academy
Able to do eggs
to
and
get better,
oatmeal.
right? I mean, that's
Very nice.
oh, thank you, sir. That's very normal, right? Lessons are always learned, and we're not perfect. We're only going to get better.
Good.
Yeah, I personally have no problem with like going through with that in the future as well. Like, if it means we're gonna have more officers on the street, I have no harsh feelings against going through that kind of process again.
What about you, Flop? Something you're interested in?
I would be interested, yeah. I can't comment on our last academy as, I was on LOA. But
And I will say that's not even just. I don't really want to. Maybe you can lock it behind. As far as like leading the academy, sure, you could have a senior do it, but I don't want to undermine the idea that without Sky, without roads, like it would not have happened.
We would not have had as good of an academy.
No.
I think that
Without question.
all of us have so much experience, and we all have worked together for so long. We just have such a good understanding of each person and what their strengths are, and I think that it just overall, the whole academy amongst all the FTOs, it was great. Truly, I'm all for the academy. We all have. I'm a big person on when you have a bunch of people together, getting them to learn all of the things that are basic, and then to be able to touch up on that when they're in the cadet phase is like, so they kind of already learned it, and then they get to touch up on it when they're out on the streets. I think is just a better method. It makes it less work for one FTO on the streets when things are actually scary as fuck. Excuse my language, but
having to roll oatmeal.
when
Oh
you're
my
live
god.
and on the streets and there are people with weapons and you're put right in action, getting them like kind of that basics training prior during academy is just very important in my opinion. So the in-depth, the academy and each person taking on their strong points to help teach was just really good. Yeah, I think I would say
This
the
is
same.
Blackwell.
Without
No,
the
this is
other
Alice. This
FTOs,
is
it would have
Watson.
been much more difficult.
Yeah, and I think ultimately what all shifts want to do is push it on to ultimately sergeants will run the academies, will oversee the academy, then FTOs, and will be. Now I'm talking months down the line, right? But ultimately that's
Alice
our
has
goal.
been around
Is
forever.
a sergeant would run the academy, and then FTOs would fill in doing modules and helping out and being there with them. So I like that, you know, somebody were to lead it, and frankly, I believe all three of you can lead one at this point. So I'm comfortable with all of you leading one, and just have FTOs fill in where need be and handling that. And let's do that on the next. I mean, you did on the last one, but we'll officially do it again on the next one as well. I'll probably pop in from time to time. I also want to get you all involved in the interview process. At the very least, our end goal for, and by I say ours, I mean captain's end goal for
Bob's
the
dead.
interview process is to have sergeants to do a primary interview, which is a command interview. And then once they get filtered out through that, essentially, then it goes to a high command interview, where captain plus will do the second interview. So there'd be a 2-interview process. Be a lot easier to schedule once there's more people in command, and you know, more people to delegate things to, and more people out here on the streets and doing office work. So right now it is a bit of a stretch, but how do y'all feel about doing preliminary interviews? So essentially you'll be given a list, and you will all schedule your interviews with people. You can split it up evenly, or however you want to go about it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I love to do interviews, so
I'm not opposed.
I'm completely fine with that.
Bro, we've been doing this.
Yeah, I don't want you all you know, held up doing interviews for 8-10 hours a day for 5 days straight. So splitting that up will be amongst yourselves. What I can do is get you a list of people with their state IDs, their phone numbers, their names, and emails if need be, and we can, once you all feel comfortable. So here's how in the past I did it, and it took a little bit longer, but ultimately I'd like to
Hey, one
be
kid, thanks for the
conducting
raid. Appreciate
interviews,
you.
maybe a week or 2 after Academy.
Welcome.
Get these names
What's going
together,
on?
sorted
How
out,
you
because
do?
once you guys do the interview, we will most likely go into a captain's interview, or I'll do an interview. I'll probably give you about 20-30 names, get it done over a week or 2, you know, and this is all kind of off the hip, not exact numbers. Give it a week or 2, finish out those interviews. I'll spend probably 4 or 5 days doing interviews all day long, get those knocked out. We'll talk about the who's involved and who gets a thumbs up, who gets a boot, and then we'll push on through Academy, make them recruits, and you can all coordinate all that with them.
Fucking hey.
Is that something you're all interested in and good with?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that process is good. I do have one concern, or one thing I want to question / address, which is,
Alright.
you mentioned that you would have sergeants run academies, and then essentially FTOs would run modules, things like that.
Hey, chat, make sure you
Now,
guys join Discord if you want to keep up with the
are
stream.
you only, would a sergeant have to be an FTO? Are you only doing FTO sergeants? Are you only promoting if people are FTOs? Are you making that a requirement? What's the process of that? Because my concern is there are some people who are perfectly capable of being leadership role models, but not necessarily the best trainers and or want to be a trainer.
Is there a specific name you're thinking of?
No, I'm just asking in general. I have worked in a couple departments, one of which you had to be an FTO at the sergeant rank, because you were responsible for like final evals and things like that. But then I've also been in a department where if you were a sergeant, it was not a requirement to be an FTO because you didn't have certain responsibilities. And so I was just wondering if what the direction of our department is looking like. Are we going to make that an FTO responsibility, or are we going to allow for higher ranking officers to not have an FTO responsibility?
This is such a good
I'm going
question.
to go off the hip here. This is something set in stone. I think if you're going to be a sergeant plus, you should be capable and willing and able to train people. May not be the best trainer or not, but I think if you're not willing to undertake at least some training and show that you can train people, I want a sergeant who can be in all the shoes below him, right?
Sure.
I don't want to, you know, give somebody a sergeant position if they can't fulfill the roles below them that they're going to be overseeing. So sergeants are going to have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders, a lot, and that doesn't necessarily mean taking That doesn't mean taking cadets out all the time, but I think they should be able to fulfill the role. Yes. So nothing set in
That's
stone.
gonna
But
be a
I would
lot.
say, yes,
Right now,
they would
Flop
need to
hasn't
be
had the
an
ability
FTO.
to take cadets.
I again, I've worked at both. I think there are pros and cons to both personally, but I'm not opposed to either way. I've worked at both, so it doesn't make a difference personally, but and then obviously not set in stone. Who knows what the future holds?
Oh, Flop's dead. Oh my
Currently,
god.
we don't hold FTOs to taking out cadets, right? We might push and say, hey guys, if you're feeling up to it, grab a cadet. We're not going to hold a gun to your head and say take a cadet out, right?
Mhm.
But I do need to know that my command staff is able to fill that role if need be. They need to be able to teach, right? Sergeants should be teachers as well. Lieutenants, captains, everyone should be teachers at that point in the command role.
There's
You
a
need to be
difference
able to
between
teach. If you can't
forget
teach, then
and
you probably
not
shouldn't be in
have.
one of those roles. Yes, there's gonna be people who are better than others, but at least the basic ability to teach, to understand how to explain things, is important.
Okay.
While we are on that topic, it's not something I touched on earlier, but I do believe our training issue is going to not be solved, but it is going to get easier and better within the next month or so, because I know McMahon has expressed interest to me about wanted to help us take out cadets and stuff like that and teach. I imagine Graves will be of the same aspect, and
Graves.
Jimmy will
First
be.
name?
Maisie.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So,
Jimmy
have
will
I
be
met
as well.
this person?
Probably
Most likely
not.
not. Oh,
Was this
She
a
was
transfer?
she was a shift 2 cadet, and she was kind of due to obligations, transferred to us.
That name sounds so familiar. I don't. Really interesting. So we had somebody transfer into our shift from shift 2.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Okay.
Correct. Prior to being taken out by any FTOs, though, just for clarification on that.
I see.
I
Okay.
think that's
So,
Yeah,
so
but
she
I
was a
mean-
transfer, though, right? I'm trying to make sure I'm thinking of the right person.
Yeah, because she has history. She very much
Elsewhere.
has history elsewhere. I mean,
Okay.
just for further context, it was a very interesting moment for me, as she hired me 8 years ago in the department I first started working in. So it's a very interesting.
Easy great. Okay.
Yeah, she is.
Maisie was
Then,
one of the
like, you know,
command in
She's been through
public.
the ringer. She's started departments and stuff like that.
So she's good, is what you're saying?
Yeah, she's good.
I mean,
And-
having experience under your belt doesn't mean you're a good cop,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? But she's a good cop.
Oh yeah, and
Okay.
I believe that she brings up the right issues and can easily teach people, and it's one of those people that just good to have around without question.
Good. I look forward to meeting her.
Yeah, but between her, McMahon, and Jimmy, I know Jimmy just got PPO, but when he does, I mean, Rose will tell you this as well. Him and I both took Jimmy out, and he was basically like a second FTO there.
Well,
He very much knows his stuff. He hasn't lost a step. Obviously, little things have to be tweaked here and there to just how we do things now, but these people are going to be massive helps when the time comes.
good. I'm looking forward to having them on board. I do not want to expedite them through PPO, though.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Okay.
There's a reason we have PPO set at minimum of 30 days, and that's to really keep people in check, make sure they're all operating within the confines that we set forth, right? And they're operating to our standard. Like I said before, there's no difference between a PPO and a full officer in terms of policing. Now, in terms of FTOing, if they want to become FTOs, yeah, obviously they need to be a full officer first. Now, if they're truly performing to your standard and higher, once they become full officer, we can see how they operate if we haven't already, and probably make that decision pretty quick.
Yeah.
Which I think it'll be good to get some new FTOs in there. I know I know there's a couple other officers I spoke to briefly who also want to be FTOs, which I got to make sure that's still the case. In the past, I talked to them, and if that is the case, then I'll bring them to you all as well and see what we think about them. Well, I do want to get more obviously officers, more FTOs. I want to make sure that standard is being upheld, and that's up to y'all to keep that standard held, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're the ones that's going to be out there with my eyes and ears, right? So but I have faith in y'all that you'll be able to do it, and any recommendation you bring to me, I'll look into. Absolutely. So McMahon and Graves, those are the two FTOs you had in mind?
I mean, yeah. Maisie's not even close to the 30 days. It might have just passed 15, I believe. Actually, no.
How's
just passed like 10 recently.
Where's McMahon at?
I believe today it marks 30 days.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
And he was given the thumbs up to promote him, right?
Yeah.
Slack did. He gave us thumbs up already.
Yeah.
I think I spoke to him. And,
he gave us the thumbs up for McMahon, Lucas, Clover, and Troy. Because Troy's on LOA now.
And McMahon has interest in
teaching.
Teaching. Okay.
And he's another person that when I've had him in my car, just through like, you know, specific circumstances with the cadet, that he's been I can see it's there. And he's gonna be giving him good feedback and proper teaching.
I don't mean to interrupt this. However, McMahon just hit his 15-day mark. Not his 30. His 30 is on the 7th of March.
Yeah, that brings up another thing that I was going to talk about. I know you just said like the minimum 30 days, but I don't believe that is the belief across the department as a whole. Because I was going to bring up that question, if we wanted to hold people to 30 days, or if, you know, specific circumstances arise where this person is just like, is ready after like 15 or something like that. Then
so
we can
this is something that all the captains talked about, and I think there was one instance, if I'm not mistaken, of a 26-day, right?
Yeah.
Are you aware of any more than just one?
No, I'm not aware of any specific circumstances, but yeah, I just.
So I know there's one that happened at 26 days. I'll say that. The reason we have 30 days is to keep our eyes on people. It's a way for us. We can obviously do that when they're full officer. But I would hope that people are keeping eyes on PPOs more than a regular full officer, right? We're keeping tabs on them. We're checking reports, the mentorship program. We're making sure reports are done properly. People are checking in with them. They're checking in. They know they're in this training phase. It's kind of a mindset for them. And it's intended to be 30 days so that we can make sure that they're a proper fit for the department, that they fit the department properly, they're meeting our standards, and that they're able to perform, essentially. It's not that, you know, everyone needs 30 days. It's more or less a blanket 30-day insurance for us to make sure that they're a proper fit, they're performing. So I think we should be at 30 days. Is there? What's all your mindset on it?
I would agree. However, in McMahon's case, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we kind of just pushed him to cadet and then to PPO because I know he was brought in as somebody with like prior experience, and he kind of lost time in that gray area.
Yes.
When you started to have to step away.
Reason for that is mile away. I'm the one that's supposed to be keeping track of that and getting them through from. You're supposed to do 2 or 3 shifts with ride-alongs, and then go into PPO right away.
Is police in public any good? I don't know.
Or with FTOs. And
I don't play on public at all.
That was where I dropped the ball there. Again, I don't think there's much of a difference between a PPO phase and a full officer phase. I think it's just a mindset on people that they think they're still.
And I think his biggest thing was just like, how do I move on so I can start like FTOing and stuff like that.
Time put on hours. You just be here, you know. Just get on, go to work. It's I mean, I are you asking to expedite it due to the issue, or what do you want to see out of this?
I would say just expediting to a full officer.
Why is that though?
Just there's no issues whatsoever that I have personally come across. He's a good fit. I have no complaints. I'm not sure if anybody else does. and I think he could definitely assist with training for sure.
Okay, and I want to ask you, what is the difference? And again, this isn't like some snarky. What's the difference between him being a PPO for 15 more days or going to full officer today?
I think that the only direction is that allowing him to be able to be a full officer allows for the FTO program situation. I think that's probably the only thing I can think of as of now, because I'm in the belief that leaving
Oh,
people in the PPO phase is not a bad thing. I would
oh,
rather have them in the
oh.
PPO phase so then if issues occur, I would hate
Mr.
to have
Stark, I
someone
don't feel
promoted to
so
an officer,
good.
then them do things to the point where then we're like, holy fuck, how do we address this? They're an officer. They're doing things that should have been addressed in the PPO phase, and
Thanks,
we
Cap.
kind of expedited that. I think the PPO phase allows for them to,
Thank
I don't
you.
know, take feedback better,
Yep.
and people put in the work because they want to reach that goal of officer, right? When you have something to look forward to, you keep pushing forward to that, right? So
Sorry.
that's just my opinion personally. I also see the benefits of when they're
Saved.
full officer that allows for them to push towards the FTO program, and the FTO program takes a lot of um slack off our backs of as far as taking cadets and helping. So I see like both sides, I guess. However, I don't know if someone offering to FTO is enough for me to say, okay, if they're willing to take on the FTO program, I'm willing to expedite them because I do feel like they're worthy of being an officer. Whether they wait the 30 days or not, I don't think that there is going to be much of a change. But I also could see that being okay, everyone's going to say, oh yeah, I'll love to FTO so they can get pushed forward quicker, and then they don't FTO.
Almost did a
They don't
Cornwood.
end
I
up taking
know.
cadets, and we then run into a problem of that there's another conversation that will have to be had of,
Fucking Turner
this is a
read me like a
responsibility you
book.
signed up for, it needs to be, but how do you do that, right? I could see more issues down the line. I think a standard, no matter what, a standard it needs to be set amongst all the ships and not be broken.
Right. So what about this happy medium? We have him do the 30-day, Barrett. We have him do the 30-day, but I ride with him before that, and we see if he's meets the standards that we're looking for as captains for FTO. And on his promotion day, we give him the FTO patch as well if he meets those standards.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's I would rather have one universal kind of standard to have everybody too.
I agree with that.
I think 30 days. If we break it now or we make an exception now, then we're making an exception later. And why did this person get it, not this person?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's set the 30 days. Let's keep the 30 days across the board.
And will that be discussed with the other captains to make sure that that is
I think
standard?
I think that is a topic that can be brought up during this meeting that we were specifically talking about. Thank you, but I'm not thirsty.
Sunday one?
Yeah.
I can't help you. I'm sorry.
I know this one's getting pushed back. I believe Ruth said she pushed it back already.
He's claiming he's back in light duty.
There's a lot going on at this very
Sunday?
moment.
That sucks.
What's
we should have
context of what the conversation is? I don't know what you're talking about.
The Zoom call meeting.
The end of every Sunday.
Month. It's supposed to be the last Sunday every month, apparently.
Of the entire department, you mean?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And the reason this was brought up is because I proposed to Slacks the other day about a Senior Plus meeting that happens like bi-weekly or monthly. And it would be at a specific time, like bi-weekly and stuff like that. And Turner brought up the idea of either prior to the like PD-wide meeting.
Yeah, Alice got promoted just now. That's why we're on the roof.
That we essentially have that meeting over Zoom call.
Okay. I definitely agree that having a senior-wide meeting, along with Senior Plus, essentially, or inevitably Sergeant Plus, or however you want the structure to be. Inevitably, obviously, right now this is what we've got. Is important. Again, we started this conversation with communication is
Joey,
the
what's up,
most
brother? How
important
you doing,
thing. So being
dude?
on the same page, having discussion, getting answers to questions that we might have
I
that, or
apologize.
what other officers might have, is
Hey,
important.
Mr. Monroe, how are you?
Hey, good. Somebody got kidnapped from City Hall.
What's that?
You aware that anybody got kidnapped from City Hall?
Let me see. Hold on.
No, you're okay.
Yes, we did get a report of something. Did somebody
Yeah.
respond?
Nobody showed up.
We are so strapped for units right now. Like, it is like scarce. I can try and get a unit down there to help out.
I mean, it's already too late. The guy's way gone.
No, that's fine. Let me try and get a unit down
yeah.
there to try and get you at least a statement written. I'm sorry.
Oh, sounds fine. It's all good. All right, bye-bye.
Yep, not a problem. Bye. Because they're all up on the roof. Here's the reality, though.
There's so much going on right now that thought towards that hasn't been considered yet.
This is a
that makes sense.
once in a lifetime conversation right now.
Sure.
Turner's been away for a while.
Kind of more the
This
reason
is a
to have that
needed
meeting.
conversation.
So we'll see. We'll see. We might have a makeup one the following weekend, maybe not. We'll
City's gonna be okay.
try to get that
I'll
going.
figure it out.
But I do think
this is a beyond
at the very
needed
least
conversation.
an email chain for the time being, I think would be good for all Senior Plus. Maybe just a command, email chain. Just get everybody in there. Just do it, and be able to be open and communicate across each shift as to what's going on, what they're seeing, problems with people. That live in emails can be duked out. I say duked out, but negotiated, live, where captains can weigh in, other seniors can weigh in, and be involved. So, we still definitely want to use reports, without a doubt. Want to make sure that reports are still being used. So, did you see that you had access to the command
Quite
reports?
often,
Okay.
no.
So you have access to
It's a
command
little
reports
slow
now. You
right
also have
now, but
access to,
not
I believe,
like
staff
not
profiles,
super. How do I say this? It's not like
some other things. Those command reports, like I said, if you reprimand somebody for something, even
It's
if
shift
it's
3.
just like a talking to, it's not bad to write something.
But
hey, spoke to this person. You can put close.
I don't
right?
know
We have
what
tags
one's
that are
looking like right
active,
now, but shift
and then we
3
have
is
closed
definitely
tags that
hit or miss. Sometimes we have a lot of people, sometimes we have no one on
If it's
duty.
a PPO, do you want me to essentially copy paste the conversation in the PPO report and make a command report, or is just the PPO report enough? What would you like?
PPO report's fine.
Okay.
Unless it's something serious, then both.
Okay.
PPO reports should be, the mentor should be taking it to them at the 15 or 30 day, or right there and then if it wasn't able to be addressed or whatever the case may be. It's a see if there's patterns. So if I read a report on, say, Barrack here, and it says that he's an attitude issue, and I start to notice that attitude issue, or you might keep your eye out for that attitude issue a little bit more.
Right.
So it's good to have it in the PPO report for all the FTOs.
Yeah, 100%. At a
But if
minimum, I
it's-
think PPO reports specifically, but if it's an officer plus, then that makes sense to do it for a more of a command report. That makes sense.
Right.
And then I know again we touched up a little bit on Selena Frost and her transferring shifts.
It was approved.
Did we get a standard going forward for anyone beyond her as to what we will be doing?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially, it's just going to be a case-by-case basis with people actually being able to.
So the general approach will be, short of it being a issue in Vice City, it'll be a denial. It'll be a removal from the program if they can't meet what they're hired for. And that's what they're told when they're hired.
So what happens if every single person comes along the lines with that?
There's a lot of what ifs that we go down. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to deal with them once they come towards us.
Sure.
we're again the next Zoom call. I'll put it. I'll probably do the next Zoom call so y'all could be filled in, or I'll just end up running it myself. But I'm very clear on my expectations, what our expectations are in the LSPD, what they're being hired for, and what the repercussions are for them switching shifts. It's very clear. That's why it has to be a case-by-case situation.
Sure. I think, and then we talked about this a little bit of that, you know, um, I think the FTOs that put in the work for PPOs that end up transferring, and even officers when they end up transferring, is really discouraging. And I really hope that that is taken into account in every discussion of transferring, because I could see that being something that causes
What does Vice City refer to?
FTOs to
Out of city
again be
issues.
discouraged
OC.
and not want to continue in the FTO program.
It's a really tough subject, because while yes, I'm believe me, I would love to be able to whack every person over the head that wants to switch shifts and you know, yoink their badge, because frankly we're putting in that work. You, Flop, Barrick, the other FTOs, Rhodes, everyone's putting in work to these people in the switching shifts. I think it's harsh to. I guess I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here. I think ultimately we're if we train somebody that who's well and capable, it's a detriment to the whole PD by just getting rid of them, right? But at the same time, these people are being hired for a shift. It's not fair for them to get trained up. People put hours and hours into them on one shift, and they go to another shift, and that shift can't reap their their what's the word I'm looking for here? They can't see those people who they trained out in the field helping them, right? Is going to another shift. It's a tough situation. I think it's something that needs to be dealt with by, like I said, case by case. It is made very clear though when they're hired.
Okay. I just wanted to address my concern. That's all. I understand.
Absolutely.
I do get both sides of it, because I know what it's like. Obviously, I partaked in training Selena, and then as soon as she got PPO, to see that she never came around to assist while we were out, it was very frustrating. And we've had, between Flop, Barrick, and I, we've had many conversations about what do we do, what should we go forward, what do we think is fair going forward for somebody who wants to transfer. So I get it. It's very hard to make a decision, and I understand, like, again, standards are important, but also doing things case by case basis is also sometimes it happens, right? Certain things are different, so I get that too.
Yeah, we got to look at the totality of them. So it's not going to be a one answer response to every situation when it comes to that.
Damn, dude.
A suggestion.
This meeting's been going on for a minute.
Because, my thought process originally was that going forward, if someone were to transfer shifts, that would be up to that specific shift if they need.
This is a healthy conversation though. If you guys are chilling for it, I appreciate it. This is a lot to take in. Thanks for hanging out for it.
Essentially demoted back to a cadet and need to be approved by those specific shifts FTOs, as far as whether or not they are that meet their standards of what is required of a PPO, and or if it does come to a dismissal, that if they are dismissed, they reapply to the shift that they want after 60 days. Essentially, it's no different than essentially being DAPed, where your DAPs take 60 days to fall off, that they could reapply in 60 days to the shift that they would look to work towards, and that would be up to that shift specifically. If
Not really, Icelander. This is more of a shift rate thing.
To be honest with you, it's going to be a case by case situation again. I think if, depending on the situation, say this Frost situation, I think demoting somebody who's been through many hours of FTO, it'd be counterproductive to kick him back down to cadet and just put more work on those FTOs. Now, I think if somebody's switching shifts, I think that's something that seniors and FTOs should be keeping an eye on no matter what, right? People should be keeping an eye on them. Everything is taken into consideration when accepting or denying a transfer. I mean, we don't even advertise that we allow transfers. You're hired for your shift, period.
Correct.
But if something were to come up where they need to transfer, then it'd be talked most likely amongst captains to see if we're even going to be willing in the first place to allow it, based on the reasoning.
There's a main point that I had to this conversation, and I honestly forgot mid conversation of there was something that I was going to say, and I forgot that had a importance to this, but it's long gone. If I remember it, I'll bring it back up. So has Shift 2 been informed that Selena is now a Shift 2 cadet and they are taking forward the mentoring program and her PPO phase and things like that? I think that was what it was, is that if they transfer shifts, do they restart the 30-day PPO program as well?
I can tack on. So if you
Sure.
check our email chain.
Speak up a little bit for me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
All right.
If you check our email chain, I put out a little note for Shift 2 PPOs, just sort of letting them know, hey, just be advised of this, as well as our shift to let people know as well. I should be around tomorrow, late Shift 2, and I've informed that if any Shift 2 FTOs want to ask me questions, I don't mind answering them.
Okay.
So.
Okay, yeah, I see it. I didn't see it earlier.
No, that's fine. I did that.
Message just came.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too long ago. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. All right. I know that Selena did mention that there's a possibility that she will be transferring back, I believe, when I overheard her conversation with Barrick. So hopefully she will flourish in Shift 2 and maybe come back to us someday.
Yep. We'll have to see how that transpires. But
that was it. Again, those are my main concerns. I know that this conversation kind of was rather long, but those were personally my concerns.
It's a needed conversation, and I think it's a healthy one at best. So,
and again, my concerns mostly go towards, I'm just thinking about this discouragement of the FTOs and FTOs going forward. When there's more FTOs, it probably won't be as big of a deal because it won't be as noticeable. You take one cadet out, and then you don't have to take a cadet for as long. So if that cadet ends up leaving, it's kind of like you didn't have to quote unquote personally put so much work in. Whereas now, obviously, it hits much harder, right? So I think that this problem will also not be as big of a deal.
if you guys are new, happen to be enjoying your stay, hit the follow button. Honest, I'd love to see you come back.
Trucking,
Yeah.
It's definitely something that's been taken note of. Where I'm not trying to brush this off either. I'm just.
No, I don't think you are.
We definitely see it, and I definitely understand where y'all are coming from, without a doubt. We got to keep trying to truck, and we're gonna get more FTOs here soon. It sounds like 2 of them within the next month, roughly. Yeah, I mean, I think with more FTOs, we could really get things rolling too, right? So,
absolutely.
I hopes for both of them, and we keep trucking.
Awesome.
I don't have anything else. I appreciate the trust, and that's all really I have right now.
All right. Well, let's head back to. Do either of you have anything else you want to address here?
I don't think so. I think just about everything that's been on my chest has been answered. So.
A few times over.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I can't recall anything else, at least at this time.
Okay.
Oh, I need to give you the academy money back as well.
The academy what?
The money for the academy.
How much do you have left over?
17,000 and some change.
All right, fantastic. That covered all vehicle repairs. That covered food. That covered equipment. Everything.
Well, here's the issue with that. The vehicle repairs, no, because we could not get them repaired.
You're not about to. Okay. 17447. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we could not get them repaired as the situation with parts out there is not great right now.
Okay.
So a majority of the time, not only do we not have mechanics around at this time, they also do not have the parts.
We should have some money coming in for rebuilding engines here shortly as well. Talk to the treasurer just before our conversation 5 hours ago.
Oh my God, it was 5 hours ago.
We should have money coming for that, and we'll get engines rebuilt.
We're
here
out. We're
and,
dry.
on the budget. Hopefully, I don't know what's going on with parts. I haven't been around too much, so what is the deal with parts?
The people that are like running sanitation are getting robbed all the time.
Okay.
So, which that then decreases the amount of people doing sanitation, which then overall,
Parts,
trickle down
right.
effect, less points.
Okay. Those people who I took the statement from said that this was the third time they've been arrested. That John Paul's been arrested. Has anybody looked into Ego Act?
I know about it. I kind of have a basic understanding. I'd have to see the fine explanation. Give me a second.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
there's
I mean,
one
not
person
right
that's
this
up on-
second because we probably start needing to get out there on the streets. But keep it in the back of your mind, the Ego Act, and see if that's something that can apply to something like this. Then, so we can start pushing back and making sure these civilians can do their work.
Mm-hmm. Probably a good idea.
Perfect. This might be a DOJ question about the Ego Act. Are we to inform the person that we are keeping track of the Ego Act, or is this sort of a on the third incident or fifth incident we take it to the docket and instruct the judge that we are essentially looking to pursue the Ego Act?
Let me see here.
It says punishments for these charges will be determined in court under argumentation by attorneys. But nothing.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think what you end up doing is you grab a lawyer to push these charges, put it up on the docket, saying we want to push charges based on, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, how this would proceed from nothing to a docket post. So we put the reports on the docket post.
I guess so. Maybe like a master document.
I don't know. I think that is something we should find out a little bit more about.
I do believe so. I know one person is
it
on
already
the docket for it currently.
Oh, really?
They're
Okay.
at the 24-hour hold up there. Yeah.
I got you.
They're being put.
Actually,
so you
they
get
might
put on
be-
hold for it.
Yeah. The 24-hour hold. Yeah. It was
Interesting.
Salim Winbar, I believe if that's how you pronounce his last name.
Why do we put him on a hold?
Salim's on a hold. Holy shit.
He was. It was for 24 hours or so.
That fucking
We
guy.
put him on a hold pending
He
the trial.
might have been
for-
on a hold from something different, but I know he was on hold briefly.
The way I foresee it is you charge him for the third incident, and then you go to a. Interesting. I don't know. Is that third incident where you're gonna take him to court and charge him for it, or do you charge him for it and then put it up on the docket and say, "Hey, we have 3 instances where he was found."
I believe that is the.
So it's 3
I don't know.
plus the Ego
Sonya's
Act
the
charges.
one. Sonya's the one dealing with it, I believe.
Sonia
Derola.
Derola. Okay. Okay. Well, that's something we should keep an eye out for. If these people constantly are targeting and getting arrested by us.
Yeah.
And we can confirm who they are targeting sanitation, because if you read the statement from the two I talked to, they knew who he was. They knew who is like that he's involved with the group, constantly robbing people. He's well known, I guess, Jean Paul, when it comes to sanitation for robbing people. So we should try to protect them best we can and bring up these charges if we can, if we have them, if they're good,
There's a sanitation truck right there. How about that?
Good.
People still out there fighting the good fight.
Absolutely.
You just ran that red light.
Oof. That's rough. And another
And
one.
that one. And he's oncoming now.
Go on the speed limit at least.